श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं. So it's a very interesting verse. Krishna is continuing his discussion on these verses of Sita Pragna. These are considered to be the very important verses for anybody who is trying to become devotee, who is trying to become a yogi. In the previous verse, we discussed how about Krishna gave a formula by which we can really transcend all those material sense pleasure and the agitation of the mind. So here in this verse, Krishna is further explaining what will happen if we don't have that higher taste. So last time we discussed about how developing a higher taste is so important in our devotional life that without this, the life seems to be very dry and life seems to be very difficult without engagement in the sense objects, without having that kind of pleasure. So in this verse, Krishna is saying, Yatato hi api kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramathini haranti parasab manaha. So here Krishna is saying, Yatato hi api kaunteya. If you see the word yatan, yatan means trying to put endeavors. We say yatan karna, trying to do something. So Krishna is saying here, Yatato hi api kaunteya. Oh my dear Arjuna, anybody who is trying to do yatan, who is trying to put endeavors. Purushasya vipaschitaha. Any purusha who is trying to do yatan, vipaschitaha. Vipaschita means who is full of discrimination. So not an ordinary person trying to do some endeavor. A person who is vipaschitaha. Vipaschita means who is full of knowledge. So a man who is full of knowledge, full of discrimination, he is doing some endeavor. Yatato hi api kaunteya. He is doing yatan. What yatan he is doing? Trying to control the senses. But indriyani pramathini haranti parasabhanaha. Even of that man who is doing yatan, who is a vipaschita and who is doing yatan, is still his mana, his mind get captured. Haranti. Haranti means harana, capturing. So, even though a person who is full of knowledge and who is doing great endeavor, still his mind can be captured. Why? Why the mind can be captured? What is the reason? Krishna is saying Indriyani Paramathini. It is because the nature of Indriyas, the nature of senses is Pramathini. Pramathini means the mad, stimulated, very strong. So basically Krishna is saying here, the senses are so strong, Pramathini, and impetuous, Haranti, or Arjuna, that they forcibly carry away the mind even of a man, vipaschitaha, of a discrimination, who is endeavoring to control them. Yatato hi api kaunteya. So here Krishna is, in a sense, is giving warning that controlling senses is not easy. And controlling our habits, controlling our behavior, trying to check our senses, trying to do what we want is not easy. Because even of a man of great discrimination, even of a man of vipaschitaha, and who is doing endeavor, yatato hi pikonte, haranti prasamana. Prasam means forcefully. The mind can take away your consciousness forcibly. And that also we see in this world, the world we are living in, very much contrary to what Krishna is trying to teach in this verse. And in these verses, everybody in this world is going in the opposite direction. If you see how the consumerism is, how the advertisement is, how the marketing strategies are, They're all trying to bombard the senses with sense object in different ways. And they're making it so regular, so obvious that even though we want to avoid them, we cannot avoid them. So there was a man known as Dan Jensen. He lives in Connecticut somewhere, and he has a diabetes, and he is around 56-year old now, and he's known as pizzerian. So from last 28 years, he's only sustaining on pizza. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. He will not eat anything apart from pizza. So his senses of tongue senses is so impetuous, so out of control that he's saying there is no life without pizza. I'm ready to die but not eat anything but pizza. And that too for last 28 years. And he knows every time he take pizza, he has to give him the injection of insulin because he has diabetes. So you can see how the society is that we are ready to die but not give up the sense gratification. So why this is so? Why we are at such a pitiable position that what is going on there and what makes us become so attracted, so enamored and so charmed by this sense gratification? So if we try to understand, it is not only senses which is a problem. Sometimes what happens, if we don't locate the enemies properly, we cannot really target them, we cannot really shoot them out. So Srila Prabhupada says many times politicians think that the enemy is in the opposite party, or the one country thinks enemy is some other country and they try to fight with them. But Srila Prabhupada says enemy is not outside you. The most strongest and most dangerous enemy are living with us. They are the most nearest. Who are they? The uncontrolled mind and uncontrolled senses. So the enemy is not outside us, the enemy is inside us. Many times what happens, we think that other person is a cause of my problem. It is because of this situation I am in trouble. It is because of that issues I am going through pain. But unless we understand it is not because of anybody else in this world we are in trouble, it is because of my own disturbed mind, it is because of my own irrational thinking, it is because of my own perception about life, it is because of my own uncontrolled senses I am in trouble. So if we try to understand this word what Krishna is using here, pramati means mad. Similar word Krishna also using 6th chapter. If you try to study 6th chapter, Krishna gives similar sense, similar word Krishna uses in reference to mind. Krishna says, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramathi balavadanam. So, and Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita that Indrayani para ahu indrebhya paramana. That mind is superior to senses. And Krishna is using both synonyms, both adjective for both of them, senses and the mind. And Krishna is saying mind is superior to the senses. It means the nature of the pramati nature, the strong nature of the senses is because of the nature of mind. It is not only because of senses. It is because of pramatiness of the mind. Pramati balavadradam. So there is a very deep connection between our senses and the mind. Because unless, if we only try to control the senses and forget to know that who is empowering the mind, who is empowering the senses, who is giving that kind of ideas to senses, it is coming from the mind. So it is said that if mind is not involved in any of the sense gratification, we cannot really enjoy them. For an example, you want to taste some palatable dishes. Let's say I want to enjoy gulab jamun, for an example. So, but if I'm watching something, I'm watching cricket match, and that gulab jamun goes inside me, and I ask the person, how is the gulab jamun? It was okay. Because he was too absorbed in watching cricket match, his mind was not actually tasting the food. His mind was not actually tasting the gulab jamun. So you see, the sense enjoyment what we get even by eating is not because of senses alone. It is because of the involvement of the mind. Unless minds get involved, our senses will not be able to give us their taste. Because the taste is a sense perception. And that sense perception belongs to mind, not to the senses. That's why we say mindful eating. We have to involve our mind while we are eating. Because when we involve the mind while we are eating, what happens? We can actually taste the object, and that will help us cutting down the food also. That we'll discuss later on how it is so. So seamlessly, our senses and our mind they both are connected to each other, and one pushes the another because they are two sides of same string. If you push one, another get pushed by itself. If you push another, one get pushed by itself. If we see the cognitive triangle, how it works, thinking, feeling, and willing. So we understand from the Shastras that all our action is because of certain kind of feelings toward that action. So angry action will certainly have some anger toward that action. Unless you become angry, you cannot really act in an angry way. That is why if you have to be Kshatriya, if you have to fight in a battlefield, you really have to become angry to be able to fight there. If you are not angry, if you don't have that emotions of being anger, you cannot really properly use the weapons and you cannot really fight there. So being angry, angry emotions is a kind of way a person can use that anger to kill the enemy. But again, these angry feeling originates from somewhere else. So it is said that it is from angry thoughts we become angry. So angry feelings are nothing but the condensed form of thinking, angry thinking. So when the thinking, angry thinking keeps building up, it becomes so condensed that becomes feelings. So that is why it is said if you really wants to know why are you becoming angry, you should try to access the angry feelings because angry feeling will have the intelligence which will tell you why you are becoming angry. Anyway, that apart. So angry thoughts makes you feel angry, the condensed form of the anger, and that pushes your senses and act in a certain way. So if you see, the willing is action here. Action means the involvement of senses because senses pushes you into different direction. That is willingness of to do certain things, and action happens through senses. So the moment you act in a certain way, it is giving a very subtle message to your mind, corresponding message to your mind. If, for an example, if you are trying to indulge into sense objects, independent of Krishna, that is what it is. The whole game is all about. Then it is giving message to the mind that you are independent. You can be independent. And the independence of the mind is already being invested in the senses. That is why the senses has become independent now. The senses have become independent not by themselves, but it is an investment which is being done by the independent mind in the independent senses. The senses were neutral at the first place. So now, because of the investment of the independent ideas of the mind, we have trained the senses to act in a certain way. Now they have become their own pseudo personality. And now they are carrying the force of the mind. The senses are carrying the force of the mind. And senses simply act as an outlet for the mind to act in a certain way. So when mind's desire, it is mind's desire which get fulfilled through senses. So it is the real problem is not the senses. The real problem is the independent mind. Because when we indulge into a sense objects, it gives us a feeling of freedom. It gives us a freedom that I can do whatever I want. It gives us a very subtle rasa that I am independent. Starting from an end till Brahma, everybody is trying to enjoy same sense of independence through sense gratification. So actually, it is not a taste of the sense object which is a problem. The problem is what has been already invested in the senses through independent mind. So now we have to understand that the senses, now you cannot say, okay, I will cut off the mind and senses will remain as it is. Senses can be independent now. Senses of sense engagement will cease. No. Already, because of so many years of training to these senses, so many lifetimes of training, now the senses have their own stored memories. How to act, what will happen, what it will do. So the senses by themselves have become the independent in themselves because of the energy invested by the mind now. So, so even according to quantum physics, if you try to understand, our senses are made up of, the gross senses are made up of the cells, atoms. If you see, the 95% of the atom is nothing but space. The most of the masses is concentrated in a very small space in the atom. Most of the masses. So, and these are the atoms which is making up this body. Ultimately made up of atoms, made up of cells, made up of molecules. In that way, 95% of my body is space. 95% of my this body is actually not solid object, is space. And what is there in that space? The energy is there in that space. There is tamasic, rajasic or sattvic energy which is there in the space. So that is like the sattvic senses, because of that you will have sattvic taste. If it is rajasic senses, it will have rajasic taste. Because your taste is a very specific taste of sense gratification we have. Even according to the gunas, which comes as a prakriti in the body, as in Ayurveda, Kapha person will have his own specific taste, Pitta person will have his own specific taste, and Vata person will have his own specific taste. So it is not only senses, gross senses which is troubling us. It is the energy part of it which is troubling us. And it is all coming from the mind. So having understood that, what are the ways to control it? Because it is said that, in this verse itself it is said that, vipaschitaha yatato hi api kaunteya vipaschitaha. Purushasya vipaschitaha. A person who is very knowledgeable is trying to control the senses. And how many of us are knowledgeable in this world? So most of us are not knowledgeable. So we are helplessly engaged in sense gratification. We don't even know we should control them. So you can say 95% of people don't even want to control the senses. Out of them, some of them develop knowledge. They are in the process of developing knowledge. Then they will try to control the senses. So very few percentage will come to a point wherein they will be knowledgeable. But Krishna is saying, even though somebody is knowledgeable, then he may not do yatan, he may not to put endeavors. Okay, I have knowledge, I'll try sometime. Filtered out, more people are filtered out. So more people are filtered out who will do endeavors to act upon that knowledge. You may have knowledge, but you may not try it. But now you have knowledge and you're trying it, and Krishna is saying still you may fail. And Krishna even says in 67th verse of this chapter, Indriyani hi chalantam yan mano anuvidyate tatasya harati pragnanam vayor namam ivambasi. Krishna again used the word haranti. Haranti means capture. So Krishna is saying, as a strong wind, vayor navam ivambasi, as a strong wind, vayu, sweep away a boat on the water. If there is a wind, it will sweep away the boat. Similarly, evam ivambasi, even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses, only one senses, even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses can carry away man's intelligence. So Krishna is not talking about all the five senses there. Krishna is talking one sense is even sufficient to take away your mind, take away your intelligence. Vipaschitaha, full of knowledge. All knowledge will go in drain. Even by focusing only on one senses. There's an interesting verse which comes in Srimad Bhagavatam which talks about five different animals. And it talks about that how these five different animals, even though they focus only one of the senses, and one of the senses is more stimulated, more activated in their system, it made them lose their life. It says, Kuranga, Matanga, Patanga, Bringa, Meenahata, Pancharevaya, Pancha. So it talks about deer, Kuranga. So which senses is most activated in deer's case? Yes. Ears. You see, the hunter will simply have to play their melodious music. Like a mad person, the deer will get just drawn toward that sound, even though that deer know there may be danger, there may be some danger there. And the hunter will catch the deer in such a way that as soon as the deer is coming toward the sound source, he'll be off, he'll be under the net. So Kuranga, only focusing on ears. Okay, then Matanga. Matanga means elephant. It is said that how the mad wild elephant are captured, it's a process, how they capture wild elephants. For elephant, it is their genitals which is most activated, and they have she elephants trained that they will touch the part of he elephant, wild elephant, and they just run away. So just by that touch, the elephant will become wild elephant will become so mad that he'll start running towards she elephant. And there's a arrangement which is being done, a well covered by some of the. He will go through that well and he will just drown in the well. So there's a process how which the people captures the wild elephant because otherwise it's very difficult to control them. So Kuranga, Matanga, the third is Patanga. Patanga means moth. The Patanga. So which is the senses which is most activated in Patanga's case? Which is that sense which is most activated in Patanga's case? Is eyes. So when the Patanga sees the dazzling form of fire is so enamored, so catching, so attractive for that Patanga, it cannot control, just go near and nearer to that fire. The Patanga can feel the heat, the Patanga can feel the warmthness of it, and Patanga knows I am going to be burnt now, but still cannot help. Helplessly get drawn and just go and merge into the fire and dies. Patanga. So Kuranga, Matanga, Patanga, Bringa. Bringa means the bees. So for them, bees, which is the sense is most activated in Bringa's case? Smell. It's their smell. So there are some flowers which closes and opens up. So Bringa will be sitting on a flower, on the wall of a flower, will be enjoying that aromatic smell of a flower. And as the day passes, night comes, slowly, the flowers start closing down. Although that bringer can feel that pressure, but so maddened, so intoxicated, so charmed by that smell, will not even try to come out and ultimately dies. So Kuranga, Matanga, Patanga, Bringa. Fifth one is Meena. Meena means fish. For fish, which is the most activated senses for fish? Tongue. You know how do we capture that fish bait? Put a bait on the net. So as soon as the fish sees that there is a bait, cannot help. The other children fishes will be thinking, "Oh, my mother is trying to bring food for us," and she herself become food for somebody else because of the overactivation of the tongue senses. So these five animals are the example which are given, and further it says very interesting. Ekah pramadi sekatam nahanyate. Ekah pramadi, only one pramada. Pramada means again that madness. These animals get killed. So these animals only have opportunity to be killed by one senses because only one of the senses are activated in their case. But it is said, Ya sevate pancha bhi eva pancha. For a human being, all the five senses are activated. You can just imagine what is our situation. So, how much we should try to control them. So we have to understand that again, if we try to control the senses by restraining them, is it going to happen like this? Okay, now I have to control my sense. I have to restrain them from all the sense object. Let me go to Himalayas. Let me go to some under the water, like Subramani had gone. Can we do that? No, because Krishna has already said, "Raso vajam raso pasya." The taste will remain there. Even though you try to control, the mind is still there. The real enemy is not the senses, which is already been established until now. It is the uncontrolled mind. It is independent idea of a mind that I can be independent. The problem is not sense gratification. The problem is independence which comes through sense gratification. Many times we think it is sense gratification which is a problem. It's not. It is independent idea of a mind which is a problem. So sometimes what happens, we fight the two extremities now. One part of me says, because we are trying to become devotee of Krishna, that I should not take it. I should try to restrain myself. I should not give it up everything. I should become a great saint, like a great saintly person. But one part of me is completely into the wants to get indulged into the sense gratification. So how do we integrate these two different extremities what we have in our own personalities? One part of me wants to enjoy senses, and one part of me wants to control them. So how do we do that? What is the way out now? How do we integrate these two? Because it is in me. I cannot access to that and remove it just like this. It is not accessible by gross senses. The two different part of my personality. How do we integrate that in my own self? Because I have to lead the life. I still have to continue in this world and become more purified. So how do we integrate this? By there's a senses now. Senses are uncontrolled, and we have that space which we understood, the energetic space. So unless we allow Krishna's energy to percolate in all those space, till that point of time, we will not be able to control them. So we have to fill that space, which is not filled with the tamasic, rasic, sattvic space, energy. It has to be filled by Krishna's internal energy space. It has to be filled by that. And how do we feel it? By the touch of Krishna. Unless we touch Krishna through our senses in different ways and we absorb energy of Krishna in them, till that point of time we will not be able to properly direct them. So it means it is not about restraining, it is about engagement. We cannot control the senses. It's not possible. Krishna saying even one of the senses we focus, we will be doomed. So we cannot really control the senses, only we can engage the senses. So just like that, a snake may have poison. Snake may have poison. And the moment snake will touch its teeth, the poison will get passed on. So, but if even though snake touches, but if there is no poison in the snake, will it have any impact? Similarly, although we may have senses, but if we have removed the independence out of it, it's like removing the poison from a snake's mouth. Srila Prabhupada gives that example that it's like breaking the teeth of a poison. When we break the teeth of a poison, even though we are in this world with the senses, living in the sensual world, will be unimpacted. So, for that matter, even in the spiritual world, there is sense gratification. We have spiritual senses. There is a spiritual sense gratification. And Krishna's name is Rishikesha. Rishikesha means who controls the senses of a devotee. So when we touch Krishna, then our senses get controlled by Krishna because Krishna's energy is percolating there. So even in the spiritual life, I was saying there is spiritual sense gratification. And it is said that our sense gratification is based upon our sensual power. And sensual power is based upon how much strength I have. In Kali Yuga, anyways, we have very less strength. In Kali Yuga, even we have very less capacity to enjoy our sense gratification. So actually, even though we are trying to enjoy senses, we are not able to. Being independent of Krishna, even though we are trying to enjoy senses, but in real terms, if you cross a certain boundary, it fires back. It will disable you to enjoy gratification for the next 1 week. Today I want to just enjoy my tongue. Just keep eating, 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 eating. For the next 1 week, you will not be able to eat. Because you're crossing the boundary of your body because that's how it is been arranged. Karmically, how much ever you can enjoy that much only. You want to bring that enjoyment further, like you just shift it. From the old age, you can shift it now. If you enjoy too much now, in the later part of your life, you will not be able to enjoy. So in that way, even though we are trying to enjoy independently, still we are limited by our own karma, isn't it? So if we try to break that law, try to enjoy more now, later we will suffer. Or later we want to enjoy further, then you have to take a pain of curing the disease. So it's not, you cannot really break that equation. So it is said that it is because of independence, even though we want to enjoy sense gratification, we are limited. So it's not a really good idea to be independent, even though we want to enjoy sense gratification. Because the moment we become dependent on Krishna in the spiritual world, the sense gratification is much, much, much more higher. In the heavenly planets, it's much, much more higher. If you go to the heavens, they have much more power to enjoy senses. In the spiritual world, we have spiritual senses by which they can enjoy spiritual sense objects. There's a spiritual mango touched by the spiritual tongue. The amount of happiness it is given in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, that one mango can flood your heart with happiness, flood your heart with taste. Only one mango. That is spiritual objects. So the whole idea, if we try to shift ourselves from, in the spiritual world, the devotees also enjoy sense gratification, but it is dependent sense gratification. They only enjoy prasadam of sense object. So you see, it is our own benefit that if we try to move from independence to dependence, even we want to enjoy sense gratification, we can enjoy much, much more than what we can now. Isn't it? So this is the secrets what Krishna is revealing in these verses of Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna is trying to push us. Okay, like for example, Amrish Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada gives the example of Amrish Maharaj in these verses. Amrish Maharaj was a great devotee of Krishna who was engaging each one of his senses in Krishna's service. And his senses were so happy, so stimulated simply by serving Krishna that he didn't even want to think about indulging in normal sense gratification, of enjoying material sense object. There's a verse which says, Savai mana Krishna padar vindayo vacham se vaikunta gunanuvarnane. So each one of his senses, tongue was engaged in tasting prasadam, hand was engaged in mopping the floor, and ears were engaged in hearing about Krishna. Tongue was speaking about Krishna. So when we when we engage ourselves into serving Krishna, then we can really enjoy. And if you see practically how this independence and dependence manifest, this independence manifests in some form of envy towards Krishna. We are independent of Krishna because we are envious of Krishna. And the same enviousness reflect even amongst us. That other person is enjoying more, I am enjoying less. Comparison. We compare, we want more, he's enjoying less, he's enjoying more, I am enjoying less. That is how the equation is. But dependency is out of love. So unless we move enviousness to lovingness, we will not be able to move from independence to dependence. So practically, if we become satisfied what is being blessed to us by Krishna and don't compare and become envious, it is the first stage, the first step we can take to go from independence to dependence toward Krishna. Suddenly, I cannot become completely dependent on Krishna. What I can do at this point of time is to start accepting what we have, stop comparing, slowly, stop becoming enviousness, because the real enviousness towards Krishna reflect in this world because of enviousness towards other person. Because now actually I cannot show my enviousness toward Krishna. So how do I do that? By becoming envious of other living entities and by comparison. So, in that way, Krishna is revealing all these secrets for our benefit. Now, the question can be, why is Krishna revealing all these secrets? Krishna is revealing all these wonderful secrets, control the mind, control the senses, where is your enemy, where is lust, where is this, where is that. And this world is created by Krishna. All these things is being programmed by Krishna, is being set in place by Krishna in the first place to trap us, to help Maya to trap us. And same Krishna is saying, break this, do that. Why is Krishna doing that? Because even though because of his power he has made all these rules and regulations to trap us, but his feeling of love towards us overpowers that. His feeling of love, how much we are suffering in this world, he feels for us. Because of that feeling, he just gives this message, gives this knowledge. Okay, do this, go left, go right. Even though I have made it, I am ready to break my own promise. I am ready to break all my rules. Because unless we know all this knowledge, there is no chance we can come out. So Krishna's direction for us to come out of this world, even though Krishna only has created this world through his external energy, is because of his love is more powerful than his power or his influence, his law enforcing nature. So that is how we understand that Krishna is giving us these secrets because of his love. So, but if we don't accept it, if we don't try to apply it, it is like disrespecting Krishna. Because Krishna is giving some knowledge to us. No, I don't want that. Keep it with yourself. Don't give me. You see how even trying to understand this knowledge, trying to read each verse every day, trying to implement to the best of our capacity is a sign we are giving to Krishna. Yes, I accept your love. I accept your knowledge. I accept your care. If you don't even read it, just put it off and don't try to understand that, it's completely removing Krishna from our life and don't even thinking about it. So that is how we can understand. And in practice, it is said that the practice of, so now only restraining of the senses will not work. It has to be coupled with purification of mind. The two things we have to do now. Restraining the senses till the time senses are not purified, plus purification of mind. So if we only focus on sense restraint, like the yogi also does, but they fail eventually because they don't try to purify the real contamination of the mind, that is to become dependent on Krishna. So two things: becoming dependent on Krishna plus trying to restrain with our best of our capacity. So they say if you want to do something, then you should just make it easy. Very interesting thing. So if you want to do something, then make it easy. Or you want somebody to do something, make it easy. In one click, everything should happen. Even if you see website designing, Amazon, everything, they try to make sure that you have to click least number of clicks. You have to put least number of clicks to purchase something. Because if it is more tedious process, then what will happen? You will, okay, leave it. I will not purchase it. But if you just in a click of a moment, it just goes. Make it easy. Then rewarding process, then gamification happens. So ultimately, if you want to restrain from something, opposite works. Make it hard. Make it easy what you want to do and make it hard what you don't want to do. So maybe one such you can implement in your own personal life. The thing which you want to restrain from to start with, you can think of it and you should try to make it harder and harder to get access to that. For example, you want to cut down your food. If it's bang in front of you, you cannot really restrain that. Try to make it hard to access this. And that is what we don't want to do. For an example, it can be different from each and everyone's case, where they want to start with. Purification of the mind, it happens by chanting. So make it easy. Make it easy to chant. Sometimes it becomes difficult to chant. Make it easier. Make it easier by hanging chanting mala in front of you. Or putting some quotes of Srila Prabhupada about chanting. Or doing something in such a way that you are reminded. That is why in devotees association is so easy to chant, because it's reminding us, it's easier. So I am not chanting somebody, okay, it will remind me, make it easy. Mala is there, let me chant the mala because mala is there. If mala is not there, nothing is there which is related to that, then it will all be very difficult. So that is how we can understand. And anybody have any doubts, any questions? Yeah. Earlier you said that senses have life and so does that mean like when we die with our soul? So two things, the senses, there is two things, senses and sense perception. The taste is not actually tasted by the tongue. There is a sense perception of taste which is tasted by mind. So taste is different, tongue is different. Mind wants to enjoy the taste and it does through tongue. So tongue may live here, but taste will go with the mind. Yeah. So just to make you more clarify with that, this tongue is a very gross thing. So actually it is said that like during COVID, we were not able to taste anything. So although you were putting a gulab jamun to the tongue, but it was not giving any taste. You were not able to smell anything. Sometimes people don't hear. So, but it's in the mind we can taste. For an example, you can do that meditation at your own place. Don't eat gulab jamun. Just remember the taste of gulab jamun. Simply by remembering that taste, you can relish it actually. How nice it was. If you can go more and more and more into the deep, you can exactly remember the taste. You can get glimpses of it, at least. So even though there is no gulab jamun, in the mind you can enjoy that. Yes, till the time we are in this material world. That is what the liberation is not about from the senses, but from the sense perception from the mind itself. That is the real liberation. So sense perception is even during dreams. You can taste during dreams. But there was no gulab jamun, your mouth, tongue was not working. It was in the mind. So sense perception, which is taste, is in the mind. I may have the sense of tongue. So the sense, the taste of the outside is connecting to my mind's taste to the tongue. So tongue is only a bridge between both of them. Is one of the kind of bridge, not the only bridge. So when we give up this body, we give up this bridge, but still in the mind that taste is there, that memory is there. You can still enjoy that. That carries forward. So people from child from beginning has particular taste towards some objects. Their tongues are designed in such a way that they cannot really taste it. Some students like sweet, some does not. It's because that sense perception of sweet was continuing from their previous lifetime. The taste what we cultivate now will move forward. Understood? Yeah. Like very much when you say that Krishna's love is more powerful than his powers. Please give us an example. Example? Like, you want me to give an example for that? Example, the very fact that Krishna says, Vaya dakshina prakati suyate sa characharam. That is one verse where Krishna says, everything is under my control. Everything is working under me. Maya dakshina prakati suyate sa characharam. Hetu nane na konte jagat viparivartate. That is what Krishna is saying. Another verse Krishna says in the 18th chapter, Devi Esha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratya, not in nature, some other chapter. Devi Esha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratya, Ma Mevai Prapadante, Maya Metam Tarantite. Krishna is saying this world, this Durga, which is the fortresses of this world, Devi Esha Gunamai, Mama Maya Duratya, this is my Maya which is working under my control. This world under working under my control. It's very difficult to overcome. Mama Maya Duratya. You cannot really control, you cannot really come out of this world. But Krishna is giving a solution. How can you come out of it? Mam evaya prapadante maya metam tarandite. If you surrender to me out of love, then you can overcome it. So Krishna is saying this world is created by me and Durga is my agent, she is my manager. You cannot overcome this. But there is something still you can overcome it by surrender, and that is surrender by love. The specific example is given of Bhishma there. Krishna told in the Mahabharata, I will not fight. His power, I will not fight. I have given my power to Kauravas, I will not use my power. So Krishna said, I will not use my power. That is his Krishna's law for that time being. But out of love for Arjuna, when the Bhishma was about to kill Arjuna, because Bhishma also told, if Krishna did not come out today, I will kill Arjuna. Nobody can save Arjuna apart from Krishna now. So he broke his promise when he was about to be killed, and Krishna goes with a wheel and about to kill Bhishma Deva. So he broke his law. He broke his own law because of his love. So love is more powerful than his laws. That's what we understand. Anybody else? Okay, we'll conclude here. I think we're still running out of time. So we'll just chant 9 times and we'll just start Kirtan after that. You can repeat after the Panchadana mantra. Jai Shri Krishna.